Yes, hello everyone, this is Error. The release of Grok 4 from xAI led by Elon Musk has been a hot topic, hasn't it? Actually, there were a few other issues in between, so I couldn't cover it sooner, but I decided to put it all together over the weekend. It's already widely known that Grok 4 secured the top spot, and even though benchmark scores don't tell the whole story, the reason xAI was able to achieve this so rapidly is the substantial investment by Elon Musk, who's deploying 100,000 H100 and H200 units, and there's even talk of connecting an additional million units in the near future. Since they were able to secure those particular aspects and rapidly enhance their performance, it appears that a significant capital-intensive investment for scaling purposes was indeed inevitable and unavoidable. So, what are the distinct characteristics when compared to current state-of-the-art models and leading frontier models? What's the future outlook? And what happens when this technology is integrated into Tesla's Optimus, or incorporated into Tesla vehicles, or even various robotaxis? It implies they'll have their very own independent platform. In this scenario, Elon Musk, having secured unique X data through Essence, brings about certain future expectations. Let's examine this. Immediately following the launch of Grok 4, the rankings completely shifted. You can see it right here, can't you? This chart represents the overall comprehensive reasoning ability, or the intelligence index, which is consistently compiled by artificial analysis.ai. For the first time, Grok 4 has now recaptured the leading position. Things are changing so much, but rather than just the release of Grok 4 being significant, I think it would be better to explain while looking at this graph. Because xAI actually started right here, at this black line. Do you see it? It launched last March and put out its initial model then, but the response was somewhat lukewarm, mainly because GPT-4 Turbo had just been released, providing strong performance at a reduced cost. Consequently, it emerged at a time when Gemini was still seen as unable to surpass OpenAI, so expectations weren't particularly high. But after that, do other companies release models frequently? They keep releasing updates like this, but in Grok's case, there was Grok 1, and then a Grok beta before Grok 2 came out. Then Grok 3, and then can you see it rapidly leaping forward to Grok 4? Especially from Grok 2 to Grok 3, you can see it expanded tremendously, right? And now they're saying they've reached the roadmap for first place. Jensen Huang mentioned this. He expressed great astonishment that Elon Musk managed to construct an AI supercomputer, dubbed Colossus, by integrating 100,000 GPUs in an incredibly brief period. You see, simply acquiring GPUs isn't the sole requirement. There's far more to it than just that. The core of creating this hyperscale AI model is buying the GPUs, connecting them properly, and making them run seamlessly as one. Because one AI does not fully fit onto a single GPU unit. The requirement for everything to be universally distributed and calculated at once means that during vector or matrix operations, these tasks must be distributed across GPUs. Certain elements selectively retrieved and then physically distinct GPUs need to communicate swiftly. This demands excellent network switching, necessitating solutions such as Ethernet, which are adept at such operations. Or they need to be good at various kinds of signaling and communication. This shows that xAI is also doing well on the hardware side. So on Grok 4's main page you can see a great many different scores. This time, two versions were released, Grok 4 Heavy and Grok 4. And on the Human Evil Last Exam, a benchmark for deep expert-level problems that are really difficult for humans to solve, it reached 50.7% for the first time. Besides Grok, nothing else has achieved this except for Gemini Deep Research. Of course, one could argue it performed well specifically on this benchmark, but this is something that people will need to try and discuss as they use it. I will show you examples later. Anyway, when they scaled this up very rapidly, Grok 4 initially captured 25.4%, and then its heavily reinforced version, Grok Heavy, achieved 44.4%. The scaling doesn't quite add up here, but with Grok Heavy it increased significantly to 50.7%. Just for OpenAI's O3 it's 24.9, which is almost double, you see, even though O4 has been released. Ultimately, the Humanities Last Exam benchmark, the Humanities Last Exam, means it can effectively uncover incredibly challenging hidden patterns that are even difficult for humans to comprehend and proficiently interpret and deduce conclusions from them. They likely mastered this by substantially amplifying the scaling of the heavy version or Grok 4. I think we'll need a more detailed technical report to know for sure. Besides that, if you look, it's mostly leading the pack. Are you getting a bit tired of seeing these? The scores are so high, and there's even one where it scored a perfect 100. That's why Elon Musk said things like there are no more problems to solve. This is very encouraging. Because of this, benchmarks are constantly being revised and released in this new situation. In the case of AIMO, which is a US mathematics competition, the heavy version managed to solve all of it. What's interesting about this heavy version, which you also have to pay a lot for, is this. Look, it's called Parallel Test Time Compute. Now, test time compute itself means it will solve a problem by computing for a long time, but suddenly parallel is added. This means multiple agents are working at once. With Agent 1, 2, 3, some finish first, some have minutes left. Once processed, it's like a study group. They cooperate to solve problems. Initially, they tackle problems independently. Then, each agent compares results and self-corrects errors within a given time frame, iteratively improving performance through feedback. This process, by utilizing individual agent models and combining their outputs, has effectively demonstrated that overall performance can be significantly enhanced, as evidenced by this heavy version. In particular, this self-correction of errors was achieved through reinforcement learning. You can see that a structure was applied from the very beginning of the training, allowing the model to correct errors and gradually improve its performance by receiving feedback during the problem-solving process. So, because there are so many complex problems in the real world, this approach would overcome the learning limitations of prior models by continuously gaining verifiable rewards. You can understand it as a method that identifies the optimal action by deploying things in parallel and then obtaining rewards effectively. This aspect is quite intriguing as well. Grok is able to see what I see. While it's a bit belated with both voice and camera functionalities, it can now perceive and engage with its surroundings. Now, this isn't surprising, but Grok was a bit behind in terms of multimodality. Given its late start, the initial focus was on improving the text model. However, this time it has moved beyond text, now possessing the capability to handle not only multimodality, but also to incorporate real-time information. It can recognize text within complex images and interpret both videos and images using its foundational model. Especially in the case of Grok, since it's now integrated into the X social network, it can find real-time information right away, can't it? Tell me about the hottest tech news currently being discussed today. I'll just type that in. So, when it accesses real-time information, it's like updating a vector database using the content from X, because, among all social networks, X is where you can identify rapidly trending content. The fact that it uses that as a basis is what's pretty unique. You could say that's how it sets itself apart. And the fact that the context length has increased to 256,000 is also a huge step forward. It's also actively supporting APIs now, so developers can take Grok 4 and build things on top of it, which seems to be a move toward expanding its ecosystem. See, Elon was right. So what is he saying? Elon Musk suggests simply copying and pasting. What exactly? Your code files. Then you just ask Grok. Grok 4 will then optimize and fix it for you. Naturally, Grok might also utilize that information in return. Anyway, this individual actually tried it for themselves, and they discovered that Grok 4 very quickly improves the structure of poorly written functions or handles errors. Isn't that incredibly convenient? In the past, as all developers would know, if you encountered an error while coding, like a memory leak, or something that would take ages for a human to find, now, to some extent, large language models can handle those issues. Of course, this isn't exclusively limited to Grok. But there's a lot of talk this time that Grok performed particularly well on the coding side. Some still claim Claude is superior or Gemini is superior, and this seems to differ across various coding domains. Nevertheless, the prevailing view is that the paradigm of coding is undergoing a substantial shift, as large language models, LLMs, are now capable of accomplishing so much. Here are some examples showing how they created an app like this in just a few minutes using Super Grok. This is a role many large language models can now perform, not just Grok. Since the LLM can now handle the programming itself, this is a case where it has also acquired the ability to visualize. Grok in particular seems to be really good at things like 3D simulations. And based on the code for 3D simulations, if you're looking to create things like satellite temperature movement, satellite views, or orbital paths, you can actually build them yourself using an LLM. And for market research, many people are already leveraging LLMs quite effectively. Rather than meticulously searching for yourself, being able to get a compiled comprehensive overview like this has become a key factor determining an individual's competitive edge. Actually, I personally tend to use Gemini quite a lot. And even with Gemini, the audio-voice interaction is incredibly natural and fluid. Even in Korean, it now sounds very much like a real person talking. But Grok also now supports real-time voice conversations, allowing for natural pauses, handling emotional nuances well, and responding immediately. This is what you're seeing now. You excited? See how fast it changes? I'm not sure if it works in Korean yet. Isn't it evolving so fast? I'm not suggesting Grok is the best, but because AI companies are in such fierce competition, these advancements are being rolled out incredibly quickly, allowing us to now experience remarkably natural native voices. Wow, look at this. It means it can even express this kind of voice well. Actually, this kind of progress from Grok was somewhat expected. Of course, big tech companies have been investing a lot in GPUs. They've heavily invested in these from A100 to H100, H200, and now B100, B200, and B300, and Microsoft and Meta invested significantly, right? And Google has designed a vast number of its own TPUs, leading to the creation of highly effective models. Grok is also rapidly developing a massive model known as Colossus in only 4 months, committing computational resources that are 100 times greater than Grok 2 and over 10 times more than Grok 3. Such are the recent developments. Currently, this Colossus is a computer with 200,000 H100s, but now there's talk of building a massive data center in Memphis, USA, to run 1 million AI units, which means they can create a sufficiently scaled-up AI model. Of course, will it only be Grok? Other companies will do it too, but the fact that they are willing to invest such vast amounts of capital shows that the AI race is far from over. There's an expectation that we might hear something about AGI soon, and there's all this other talk like an adult version of Grok. So, by removing the filters on things we tend to hush up for ethical reasons, they claim to pursue the real truth. That's the concept they're pushing, but it recently became controversial. You know Grok has automated accounts, right? That automated account generated some anti-Semitic comments, which then sparked quite a controversy. If Grok is allowed to answer freely without any filtering, because if you go on X and tag Grok asking, "Hey, is this true?" or something, it answers right away. And the answer given to this, for instance, was Jewish surname like Timberg, given the extensively documented historical overrepresentation of Jewish people in radical movements. Indeed, large language models often make statements of this nature when considering the context. When Elon Musk initially declared they wouldn't filter such content, claiming they championed freedom, that was precisely the feeling I had. This made me feel like he's not very concerned about safety alignment. Not that he'd completely disregard it, but as a latecomer, perhaps their investment in this area wasn't sophisticated enough, so he strategized it this way. That's a thought that occurred to me. And recently the person in charge of that just resigned without a word. This leads one to believe that Elon Musk's greatest peril is Elon Musk himself. Regardless, xAI has an exceptionally ambitious and aggressive roadmap laid out. They're announcing a coding model for next month, then a multimodal agent the following month, and finally a video generation model will be unveiled the month after that. You can certainly see how aggressive their approach is, even as a latecomer, can't you? We can certainly do very well if we invest a concentrated amount of money and bring in the right people. From that perspective, seeing how Meta recently brought in so many talented individuals, one might think, Meta will surely climb back up soon. This truly highlights a time when highly capable engineers are earning substantial incomes. As AI competition continues, investments are increasing to update impressive models. One ponders at what juncture, and with what specific application, a definitive victor in this AI arena will finally emerge. Could OpenAI genuinely face a downfall? I'll continue to follow up on these developments and share them with you. For those who prefer to watch in English, we are also creating videos on our global channel, Unreal Tech. Please check it out. This has been Error.